After helping thousands of health professionals build thriving 6, 7, and 8-figure coaching businesses online, I've identified 6 personas that sadly hold you back. In this video, I'm going to share which one of those 6 you might be and how to use it to your advantage to maximize your results. What's going on, guys? CEO and founder of HealthHunter, we help world-class health professionals build scalable coaching businesses online with heart. And I'm going to share with what these 6 personas are. Now, what I want you to do in this video is I want you to really think about which one of these 6 you most likely are. I'm going to share with you what the challenge of that persona is and the solution to moving through that. All right, so the first type of health expert persona is the perfectionist. So the perfectionist looks like this. You avoid launching your coaching program. You want to get everything perfect. You have to get everything dialed in because it's never good enough. And you're worried potentially about what other people might think of you. And that's okay, right? I think there's an element to perfectionist tendency, which is great. Like, you care about putting out good work. The challenge, though, is that you delay and procrastinate, and it takes forever to get things done. Now, I can relate to this persona because when I was in university, I actually almost failed graduating because I decided not to show up for one of my classes, and I thought they wouldn't pay attention to that. They did. And I had to write a 20-page paper on procrastination before graduating, so I get the tendency to procrastinate. But here's the thing. I want you to understand there's 3 kind of like unlocks that I want to help you with if you're the perfectionist. So number 1 is embracing the idea of progress over perfection. 80% good enough is better than perfect never done. And it's not to say that we're going to put garbage out into the market, but it's understanding that you will only improve your product, your curriculum, your coaching program with feedback from the market. I think a lot of us get stuck in our heads and we test ideas in our mind as opposed to testing them in the market. So when we launched the Health Business Accelerator Coaching Program back in 2017, it was a 2-day live workshop. We did it 3 times a year in person. It's very, very different nowadays, right? It's a fully online, full-ed curriculum. We work with clients in some cases for years, but it's evolved over time as we've gotten feedback from our clients to make it better and more suitable for helping our clients win. So it's really this notion of like, get the minimum viable product done, and then you'll continually iterate it over time. The second thing here with respect to this perfectionist type of persona is do your best to set clear deadlines. And to be honest, if you are working with a coach, which I would strongly recommend, that coach keeps you accountable to those. So if I'm talking with a client and I'm like, hey, when are you going to launch your pipeline? We have all the assets done for you. Here you go. And they're like, I don't know, I'll probably launch this in 2 weeks. I'm like, cool, 2 days? Awesome. There is no reason you would need 2 weeks to launch this. Like, you have all the assets, everything's built for you, just press go. Start to time compress your deadlines, because Parkinson's law says time fills the space allotted to it. Or let me say it this way. If we have 2 weeks to do something, we'll take 2 weeks to get it done. As soon as we time compress that deadline, it'll take us that amount of time to get it done. It's very much the same phenomenon. Like, you've ever gone on vacation, you get everything done before the vacation, and there's no issues, right? Because you have this really strong constraint and this boundary. It's the same idea here. Set firm deadlines, have someone to hold you accountable to those. Third thing is to celebrate progress and milestones as opposed to outcomes. So I'm not saying outcomes are not important, but one of the ways to get over being a perfectionist is understand that the celebration is in the execution. It's getting it done, it's getting it out, and it's celebrating the fact that you've done the thing. So when I'm working with the clients, one of the biggest areas they get stuck on with respect to perfectionism is they want to get their coaching curriculum fully done before they can enroll a client. And I asked them, I'm like, well, if I had a perfect client for you who is willing to pay you $5,000, should I have them just wait for a couple months while you get this curriculum done? Or could you actually help them now? They're like, no, I can help them now. I'm like, good, then help them now. So if you're someone who's like thinking about, I got to get my curriculum done as an example, here's how you do this. And I don't care if you don't like to do it this way, this is what I'd strongly recommend. Because if you continue doing what you've done, you'll continue having this perfectionist tendency, which is only going to delay and push your goals and dreams further into the future. Is you enroll a client and you build it with the client. When I first started HBA, at least when we transitioned from the 2-day workshop online, I had to start building out a lot of the curriculum. And I remember distinctly always being just 1 week ahead of our clients. So clients would enroll. I'm like, all right, I have the first week of stuff done. So I shot the videos, put it up into the portal, the worksheets, et cetera. They could have that. And then I'm like busting my butt to get ahead in week 2, to get ahead in week 3, to get ahead in week 4. And that's how I built the curriculum. And I strongly recommend you take a very similar approach, because the alternative is, well, I want to have this perfect thing. And therefore you just keep delaying the ability for your business to grow, because every day you delay is someone who's suffering because they don't have your help and you're not bringing money in. And if you think of like even this YouTube channel, so I'm shooting videos ideally weeks in advance, but there are times where I'm shooting a video a couple of days before it's launched. Like getting your coaching program fully done would be like me saying, I'm not going to publish a single video on YouTube until I have an entire year's worth of content ready to post. It's ridiculous, right? It would be like me saying, or you saying, I'm not going to post anything on social media until I have all of my social media posts done for the year. It's ridiculous, right? So I want to challenge the mindset of being a perfectionist. It is not serving you. The only thing it's doing is it's pushing your dreams further into the future. So that's the first persona. The second persona is the someday expert. So the someday expert is the person who is a big talker, but not so much of an executor. Now, the difference between the someday expert and the perfectionist is that the perfectionist is actually doing stuff. The someday expert is the person they just keep talking about where they want to be and they don't do anything towards its attainment. So they have these big visions, but they struggle with execution. Maybe they struggle with self-belief. There's this constant procrastination of putting things off into someday. How this shows up, and this also, you can see these personas potentially in the people that you're serving. In our space, how it shows up is, I just want to, I gotta get this other thing done first, and then I'll do this thing. I'm waiting for the sale of our house, and then I'll do this. I'm going through a divorce, and then I'll do this. I have a rental property that's closing, and I have some renters coming in. I gotta make sure I've got money from that, then I'll do this. Another way of thinking about the someday expert is the when-then fallacy. It's like me going to my trainer and saying, hey, this all looks great, but let me get in shape first, and then I'll hire you. It doesn't actually work that way. So unless I'm mistaken, someday doesn't exist on the calendar. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not someday. So when I hear people talk about, I'm definitely going to do this like in just a couple months, I'm like, you're never going to do this. Let's just be honest. And it's not just this. There's a lot of other things in your life that you're also not doing because you're continually pushing things out. Why would we do this? Well, because doing it now means making a decision. And making a decision means, well, I might make the wrong decision. And what if that doesn't work out? So again, a lot of this comes down to fear of messing up. But if you reframe fear of messing up into learning, then you can never lose. So the only time you lose is when you actually don't do anything. And that's what the someday expert is stuck in, is just not doing anything. So a couple ideas to break this pattern. Number one is to break up your goals into actionable steps. Instead of saying, and I'll just use the example of the curriculum again, I'm going to build out my coaching curriculum. Okay, what's the first thing you can do? I'm going to shoot a quick 5-minute onboarding video for all new clients to watch. That's it. Okay, so it's not someday, it's right now. If you're deciding, making a decision and investing in yourself, like I'll just, if you were talking with us and you're like, hey, I just need some time to think about this. I'm like, cool. Like, you're not going to be thinking about this decision for a week. You're going to be thinking about it on and off for a couple minutes. You don't need more time. You need more clarity, which comes from information. So set its firm deadline to be like, I will make a decision by the end of today at 5 o'clock. And that's it. And here's the thing, no matter when you make the decision, you won't have all the answers. You won't have all the clarity until you're on the inside. And this is the same for anything. I'm going to have kids when I'm ready. What does that even mean? When I'm financially stable, when I'm in a better place in my life, you're never ready for anything. There is never a good time to do anything. I have 4 kids. When we had our first kid, I was in not a good financial position. I could have delayed, on and on and on. I could have waited 10 years to be like, okay, now we're set and now we can have kids. It doesn't work like that. And I promise you, there are so many things in your life that you've just done in spite of not having all the answers, not having all the clarity. I didn't know that our kids would come out the way they did. They could have come out like a friggin' Sasquatch, right? Like, but you just have to go. Like, you just have to take action and move forward. So chunk down your goals into smaller milestones. 2 is focus on completing one step at a time and do your very best to, again, the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You take the whole thing, you chunk it down into what is the next actionable step I can take. So I'm going to set a deadline to make a decision by this time, or I'm going to do this one thing by this date. And if it's useful for you, you can, as a third little solution here, you can use a project management software like Trello or Asana or Monday.com or anything. I don't even care. To be honest, this is my fancy software. It's a 3M Post-it sticky note thingamajiggy. I write down pretty much the 3 most important things I'm going to do the next day. And they're very specific. And the other thing that I do is I actually open up the browser I open up Chrome and I open up the very specific tabs. So if I'm working in a specific Google Doc, the night before I open up that Google Doc so it's ready to go. I call this lubricating the slide. It's like you go to a water park and if there's no water going down the slide, it's going to be like pretty frictiony. So we want to lubricate the slide. Just set your day up to win the night before, get your stuff ready, close your laptop, go to bed, wake up the next day, and just get to it, okay? The third type of health expert persona is the DIY experts. And the DIY expert is the person who says, I think I can figure this out all by myself. So in the context of building a successful business, it's, I'm going to build a successful business on my own. And that was me for the first 3 years of my business, 3.5 years. So end of 2005 to the end of 2009. I struggled with poverty line income because I thought I didn't have the money to invest in coaching, to invest in help. The biggest mistake I made was that mindset because it took me 3.5 years to eventually get to a point where I was like, dude, you should just hire a coach. I mean, I could have time compressed that journey of struggle from 3.5, 4 years down to a couple months. If out of the gate, I just hired a coach. I'm not going to say it's stupid. It's just like, I didn't know better. And I want to share this with you because this is out of all the personas that I'm sharing with you here, this one right here is the single biggest persona that kills more health businesses than anything else. And I want to give you perspective on this. You went to school and you spent a lot of money to become a health practitioner, right? You have this amazing technical ability, but your business skills are probably slim to none. You didn't become the practitioner, the expert you are by watching a couple of YouTube videos or by reading some books. Like, you actually invested in education and skills to help you become the expert you are. So why on earth wouldn't you do the same with your business? You're not going to figure this out on your own. You can watch every single video on this channel and you're still not going to figure it out. I mean, I really hope you obviously make progress, but the DIY expert path, the one thing you have to remember with this is that time is more expensive than money. And you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. And it took me 7 years to make my first $1 million because I was trying to do everything by myself. When I started Healthpreneur, it took me 7 weeks. And part of that was because I had obviously 13 years of experience business-wise by this point, but I had invested in coaches and mentorship and courses and guidance all along the way so that the next time I launched this business, which was my second business online, it wasn't 7 years, it was 7 weeks. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, what am I really trying to optimize for here? Am I trying to save money or am I trying to save time? And if you don't have a lot of money, then what it means is you're lacking the necessary skills you need to make the money. Because if you had the skills, you'd make the money. Like, as an example, if you had 10 discovery calls and no one enrolled, that's a selling skill gap. I'm assuming not all 10 people are unqualified. Maybe you're just unqualified to speak with them. From a selling perspective, that's totally fine, as long as you recognize that and fix it. Compared to someone else, 10 discovery calls and they enroll 3 people. That's a very different business. The only difference there is skill to be able to have the conversation to enroll a prospective client into your coaching program. Yes, there's a lot of information. The challenge with information is that, number one, you don't have a clear path, right? There's hundreds of videos on this channel alone. I mean, let alone all the other YouTube channels. Hundreds of videos here alone. How do you know where to start? How do you know which one to focus on, right? And then the second thing with information is that it doesn't mean implementation. Like, you can watch all of these videos, and I appreciate you doing so. By the way, do it. It's going to help you. But the one thing I can help you with on this channel is implementation. And part of the reason for that is because you're not paying for it. When you don't pay attention. And when you pay attention. So I could literally take all of these videos and I could put them behind a paywall and charge you tens of thousands of dollars, which would still be inexpensive relative to what this will help you do in your skill set and your business. And the very same content you would actually take action on because you're paying for it. When you don't pay attention. And if you're a DIY person, you have to get out of that mindset, because essentially the fact that you're not paying for help means that you're not going to take things seriously. As soon as and you might say, no, Yuri, I am taking it seriously. No, you're not. If you took it seriously, you would invest it in yourself. You would invest in your business, because you realize the most important thing here is time. If you're a burnt out practitioner already, you don't have the luxury of time. You're busy enough as it is. What on earth are you going to figure out? How can you possibly figure out how to get somewhere you've never been before? That would be like try building a house by yourself if you've never done it before. And then, if you have a leak in your roof, are you going to fix it? Are you the plumber? Are you the roof person, the contractor? Are you the expert in that? No. And sadly, a lot of people think they are. And what ends up happening is they do a patch-up job. It's not very good. And even if it is, they spend all their time doing so. And you can certainly argue with me all you want about this. And quite honestly, you're right. If you want to keep DIYing everything in your life, by all means, please keep doing it. Do not listen to me. Do not take my advice. You don't need coaching. You don't need expert guidance. But here's one final thing I'll mention about this is don't expect other people to invest in you then. Because if you think you're going to go through life and figuring out all of this stuff by yourself, and you're not willing to invest in coaching and mentorship, don't expect others to do the same for you. Because you have to become the client you want to attract. And if you're not willing to invest in you, other people are not going to invest in you. The fourth health expert persona is the fearful expert. And this is very simple, is you hold back, you put pause on everything due to fear or the possibility of failure. Now, you'll see that there's overlap between these personas. But this is the person who, I'll give you an example. We speak with someone, they're like, I'm 100% in, I just need to think about it, sleep on it, meditate on it, climb to a mountain, go to the top and talk to God about it. They're bullshit excuses. I'm just gonna call it what it is, okay? And then they're like, no, I'm definitely in. This is 100% what I'm looking for sure. And then the next day, we get an email saying, actually, after further consideration, I decided this is not the direction I wanna take. Oh, cool, awesome. So two things, either you weren't being honest with us or yourself, and that's one thing, or you got back into your old way of thinking, which is, well, what if this doesn't work out? Oh my God, it's it's an investment. What if I don't make my money back? What if this doesn't work? What if I can't? It's all this what if bullshit. Okay, if you live in the world of what if, you will not create much. The only difference between very successful people and everyone else is very successful people don't even ask what if. That's it. They don't even consider the question. They're just like, I'm gonna make it happen. Or what if I don't do this? They're more associated to the pain of not moving forward than the pain of potentially failing. And once again, the fearful expert, I want to just help you reframe this. Okay, so a couple things. One is start with low risk experiments to build confidence. So here's just if we think about investing in yourself, okay? So I'm going to continue, I talk about this all the time, guys. You have to invest in yourself. Coaching, education, skills, you'll never lose. Okay, but let's say you don't want to make a huge investment. Start off by buying a $200 course. Just start there. And guess what? Please don't ever tell me it was a scam or a ripoff. It wasn't. You just didn't know how to extract value. Let's just be honest, okay? Value is an extraction game. And listen, I'm not here to, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If you've watched any of my videos, I'm going to just say it like it is. And I'm going to call you to a higher standard. I'm not going to allow you and your stories to hold you back. So if you get triggered by some of the stuff I'm sharing with you, hey, maybe that's something to work on. And again, I'm not here to make anyone feel bad. I'm here to help them become great. And when I hear people talk about, I did all these different programs and none of them worked, I'm like, yo, stay away from me. Because there's something about you as a person that doesn't work. Because it's inconceivable that every single coaching program or course on the internet is a scam. Maybe you just don't know how to get value out of them. Maybe you don't know how to show up. Maybe in school, you flunked out of every class. Oh, it's the school system? No. It's you as the student. So please take ownership for your results. So start off with low-risk experiments. Buy a $200 course on something. Cool. Got some value. Even if I got one thing out of it. That's the key. Is when you're investing in things, it doesn't have to, this has to be the one panacea solution. Get away from that type of thinking. Look for one nuance. I invested in a Facebook ads course about a year ago because that's a huge part of what we do and help our clients with. And I don't have all the answers. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. We spend, as of this video, about $400,000 a month profitably every single month. And I'm still like a child in kindergarten and I'm still very good. But I'm never at a point where I'm like, you know what? I have all the answers. I don't need to learn anything more. So I purchased this course from someone who, by the way, spends a fraction of what we do. And I thought to myself, all right, for a couple $100, if I get one thing out of this, it's worth it. And so I go through the course and I'm like, okay, like I've seen this stuff before. This is, By the way, I've seen this before. Bad mindset to have. How well am I doing this? That's the key distinction. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, good reminder. Oh, there's a nuance there. Like we're doing this, but there's a nuance here. We can tighten this up a little bit. And I went through the course. It's like, it was okay, but I got one or two things out of it that in and of themselves were well worth my time and investment. And it's the same thing. I spent $60,000 on a speaking mastermind about 7-8 years ago. And it was terrible. Like it wasn't a good experience. It was not well run. It was almost like they just kind of whipped it together and put a price tag on it. And I was really disappointed. And then I said, Yuri, just shut up, put your big boy pants on and find a way to make the most of this. And I got one opportunity out of that whole thing that was well worth it, even if everything else was less than ideal. And I'm not like pointing the finger at the person who's running it. I'm like, dude, like I get it. I understand. Okay. It was not great. You're a good person. You're going to make it better. I have no problem with that. Was it a little bit expensive for what the experience was? I thought so. But again, when I look at the return that I got out of it in terms of me making it happen, it was worth it 10x. And if you take this mindset into everything you do, you can't lose. And so if you're afraid of things not working out, look in the mirror and say, I will figure this out. No matter what, I will find a way to extract value here. The final thing I'll mention on the fearful expert piece is surround yourself with a supportive community. This is really, really important because the journey of being an entrepreneur, especially online, can be very lonely. And most people do not understand what you're going through. Unfortunately, the people closest to you are probably the worst people to even lean into for support. Your spouse, your parents, your friends, your family, your kids, your whatever. I could care less about what my family says, any advice they give me. I'm like, dude, if you're not closer to my goals than I am, I'm not listening to you. Okay? It doesn't matter how close you are to me. It's irrelevant. If you're not close to where I want to go, anything that comes out of your mouth is completely just in one ear, out the other. If you've built the business I want to build, if you live the life that I want to live, I will take your advice. Otherwise, thank you so much. You have to be part of a community of other people who are on the same wavelength, have the same vision, the same energy, have the same positivity, who are there to support you and to continue to remind you that it's okay to feel fear. What's not okay is allowing it to stop you, right? Fear is wetting your pants. Courage is what you do with wet pants, as my coach Dan Sullivan famously says. So if you're a fearful expert, if you always hesitate to move forward, if you're worried about the money, if you're worried about things not working out, welcome to the world. Welcome to the world of uncertainty. Water's wet, fire's hot, life is uncertain. If you don't like it, punch in, punch out, call it a day, okay? Because especially in the world of business, the only guarantee you have is how you show up every single day. That's it. If you're looking for promises and guarantees from other people, you've already lost. So look in the mirror, take ownership of how you show up, and then there's nothing to be afraid of. Even if you failed in the past, it doesn't mean you're going to fail again in the future. The fifth health expert persona is the people pleaser. So you overcommit to clients or projects because you don't want to disappoint others. You don't want to let other people down. You take on more than you can handle, and you do things you inherently actually don't want to do because your desire to please other people is more important than your desire to please yourself. So the good news is you already have the ability to please people. All you have to do now is direct it right back at you. And I share this because on the scale of selfish and people pleasing, okay, so if those are the two opposite sides of the spectrum, I am very close to selfish. I'm not gonna say, like, I truly care about other people, obviously, but I will always do what's good for me first. And I hope that's not construed the wrong way. What I mean by that is I will always look out for myself first. I will always fill up my cup first. And I do that for one specific reason. And I don't know when this happened or when I had this, the shift, if I ever did. If I can't take care of myself, I'm useless to everyone else in my life. If I'm broke, I'm of no service to my family. I can't do anything. If I'm not in good health, what's the point? So if I don't take time every single day for Yuri to work out, to do what I gotta do, to put in the work, to improve myself, then I'm not a good father, I'm not a good spouse, I'm not a good leader, I'm pretty much useless. So if you're a mom, okay, this is a message for you, because I was raised by a single mom. I know what it's like. I mean, I see my wife and I see how she does a lot of things for the kids, and I think it's amazing. But I think the most common problem I see with moms is they put everyone else first and then themselves last. And I think that's a recipe for disaster. Because number one, you become a doormat that everyone walks over. They understand that they can always come to you because you'll bend over backwards for them. And you lose your spine, like you lose these boundaries. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do what you're already doing, but just like you got to really think about, are you taking care of you? Because again, like if, as on an airplane, if the mask comes down, like you put on your mask first, because if you pass out, you can't help anyone else. And it's the same thing in life. So a couple ideas here. So number one, learn to say no to requests that don't align with your goals. And one of the easiest way to do this is you just listen to your intuition. Someone asks of you something of you, and you're like, oh fuck, I really don't want to do this. No, it's a hell yes or it's a no. If you're like, well, I'd rather not do this, but I'll do it anyways, you've lost. It's people pleasing. My brother is a people pleaser and I love him, right? And like, we're very different from this perspective. So when we were in Toronto, he dated a girl in high school and she had 3 sisters. And like on Christmas Eve, he was driving in a blizzard from Toronto to Buffalo. That's a 2-hour drive to pick her sister up from the Buffalo airport and then drive back. Did he wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, I cannot wait to drive in a snowstorm across the border and deal with all this shit? No, he did it because he felt bad for not doing so. And if you feel bad for not doing something, well, listen, maybe it's not something you feel like you want to do, but you don't want to let someone down. But it's okay. Here's the thing is people treat you the way you train them to treat you. So if they know you will always do something for them, you are training them to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like when I want something done, I'll just ask this person. They'll be like, okay. Listen, I think there are some really amazing qualities of being a people pleaser. And I have some of them in my life and they're very, very valuable and I appreciate them tremendously. But I also encourage them to just have a little bit more backbone to like really do what they want to do in their core. Because I think at the end of the day, it starts to build up this sense of resentment because you're not being true to yourself and you're trying to put everyone else first. Second thing with respect to your business is setting clear boundaries with clients and colleagues. Don't give out your phone number. Don't give your email. Like if you don't want to deal with communication 24/7, or if someone sends you an email, you may just want to set up an autoresponder to say, thanks so much for your email. I typically get back to you within 24 hours. Even if you have that as an automatic autoresponder, because if someone sends you an email or a text message and you immediately respond to them, what's the standard or what's the expectation that's now setting? That every time I send so-and-so an email, I'm going to get a response in seconds. So think about these boundaries. And I've talked with clients about this because a lot of clients who come to us, a lot of their communication with existing patients or clients is via email or text. And there's no boundaries. And it's a little bit overkill, okay? So you really have to start to like delineate what you will allow and what you won't. And trust me, there might be a bit of a painful transition for existing clients who think this is the way things are. They're going to have to learn the new way. But for any new clients you enroll, you tell them this is how we communicate. There's no problems there because the expectations have been set properly. And just finally, just remember to fill up your cup first, okay? Just like tattoo that on your arm. Fill up my cup first. I am number one. I am most important because if I am not taking care of myself, I'm useless to everyone else. Okay, The final and the sixth health expert persona is the burnt out expert. Okay, so how many health experts are burnt out? Almost all of them. Okay, and the reason I stopped working one-on-one with people in person was I was burnt out. 12 to 14 hours a day, one-on-one, it was a grind. I didn't want that anymore. So this is probably the biggest pain point we see in practitioners coming to work with us. They're so burnt out. They're working 80 hours a week, they're underpaid, they're overworked, they freaking hate their job. They love what they do, but they hate it. And they're looking for a better path. So, couple things. Business model perspective. So number one is understanding in a burnt out business model, which is a time for money continuum, you only get paid based on the time you work. Even if you charge $1,000 an hour, there's a ceiling. And that's fine if you want to stay there, but there's always a ceiling. You don't work for a week, you don't get paid. And that's not a sustainable model. If it's not scalable, it's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, you can never be free. You will always be burnt out, you will always be on the clock. And so the first thing I'd recommend is really reevaluating your business model to how you can work with more people or the people you're working with in a way where you dissociate your time from their results. And this is one of the most important things we help our clients do. And I get so much funny feedback on my ads from people saying, nothing replaces one-on-one. I'm like, cool, keep doing one-on-one. I wish you all the best. And when you're burnt out and want to jump off a cliff, let's talk. And I want to be very clear about this. In no way, shape, or form am I ever hinting at the fact that not working one-on-one with clients means you don't care about them. Like, again, like I don't argue with people on my Facebook ads that delete their stupid comments because like you can't debate and get anywhere with this stuff. Not that I care about doing so, but there's some interesting mindsets. One I see is like, well, one-on-one is the best, period, end of story. In person is irreplaceable. And oh, you're just all about the money. Because apparently if I don't give one-on-one care, all I care about is money, right? Because if it's scalable, all I must care about is money. So what am I going to do? Am I going to argue with people about that? No, I'm just going to let them think that and move on. You're here and you're paying attention to me, so thank you. So hopefully you're a bit more open-minded around this. I'm just talking about the one-on-one model for a second. The very fact that I don't recommend one-on-one is not even in the same universe as the fact that I don't care about people. The fact that I care about people so much and the results, I'm always thinking about how do I help more people with less input? And it doesn't mean, like, again, less input doesn't mean less care. More input simply means you're inefficient. And there are better ways of helping people if you step back and think about it for a second. So as an example, if you repeat yourself all the time about the same things every single day, you could simply record yourself, put up a video inside of an online portal and have your clients go through that. Does that mean you don't care about them? No, it's just smart. Because repeating yourself 1,000 times is lazy and it's dumb and it's simply on autopilot. You haven't taken a step back to think of a better way of doing things. We talk about learning kind of from a business model perspective to set up better systems so you can delegate repetition nonsense that doesn't actually move the needle. Second thing is learn to say no or delegate things that don't serve your goals. So you don't have to do everything in your business. Your business should be built to support you and the life you want to live in the service of other people. Like if you completely remove yourself from your business and you haven't set up the right people or systems in place, things are going to fall apart. So you need to spend time, this will take years, where you can assemble an ecosystem where you can only focus on your zone of genius, which are the things you love to do. So I love shooting videos like this. If all I did in our business was this and my coaching calls with clients, I'd be very happy. And this is pretty much mostly what I do. But I have an amazing team around me and a beautiful ecosystem that's taken years to build to allow me to do this. So although I work more than I used to when I was working one-on-one with clients in person, I don't feel burnt out to the slightest, because how can you feel burnt out when you're doing work you love? My son this morning is like, hey, Dad, can we go play tennis? Are you working today? It was a Saturday. He's like, are you working today? I'm like, yeah, every day I work. Today, I'm shooting this video on a Saturday. I don't care. Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, it's all the same for me. When you love what you do, it's not work. So I told him, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work like I do every day, a couple hours, get some videos done, and then we'll just go play tennis for a bunch of hours. Do I need a weekend? No. but I've built this ecosystem around me to allow me to do stuff like this. So those are the 6 health expert personas. We have the burnt out expert, the people pleaser, the fearful expert, the DIY expert, the someday expert, and the perfectionist. I'd love to know from you in the comments below, which one of these 6 do you tend to be more of? Now, it's not like 100% of one, 0 of the others. There's gonna be like a sliding scale for many of these. But if you had to score yourself on a 1, no way, 10 being this is me, which of the 6 do you feel probably represents you the most? And again, there's no problem in it, like there's no issue here. It's just about recognizing and identifying a little bit more about who you are and how you show up, how it might be holding you back a little bit, and some really simple things you can do to, with that said, move in the direction of your bigger future. So let me know in the comments below. While you're here, remember to subscribe to the channel because we have hundreds of other videos to help you build a successful health coaching business without the grind. And I appreciate you taking the time for joining me once again, and I'll see you in the next video. I've personally done and reviewed thousands of sales calls to enroll high-ticket clients, and today I'm going to share with you the 5 biggest sales mistakes that are costing